Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear mayors, dear participants, I'm following very closely this event, and I came here with my colleague for a few reasons. First of all, I made it for the Secretary General of KETE, Mr. Kafadaris, who is doing a great job in terms of representing Europe in Brussels, not in our organization, but in all European institutions, European Parliament, European Commission. It's a hard job. He's traveling ground. He's bringing your voice there, exactly what you are saying in terms of how to simplify, how to get the funding, how to get direct funding to local governments. And the second reason is because the event takes place in a very important moment. Everyone in Europe is speaking about the crisis provoked by the war in Ukraine, probably coupled with the COVID crisis, then let's say that. But you are not the only one suffering. I just want to tell you that small and medium-sized cities in Europe are facing the same issue, whatever the size of the countries. The third reason is because I came to Greece when I was 16 years old, so I love your language, your country, and people. So thank you. So those are the reasons. Now, just to say a few words, but I'm not going to be long with that, because I have been very attracted by the first panel and the second panel discussion, and I might also bring, let's say, some highlights there. Before going into what I heard and what we think as an organization, I just want to, a few words saying who you are, together with my colleague Pedro, who's going to take this floor afterwards. So, the CEMR, Council of European Communities and Regions, is founded in 1951. So, as you can see, we are the oldest organization representing 60 member associations in 40 countries, representing more than 114 local regional governments across Europe. So it is meaningful that we are here to listen to you and to bring your voice together with our national association colleagues, especially KETE, to European institutions. But before going in more in details into what we do, like just to tell you that as a CEMR, we are, let's say, a political organization representing national associations. We have a political leadership which has been elected in early December for a period of 2 years, 2023-2025. And as you can see here, we have also one of the vice president is the mayor of Thessaloniki. So congratulations to the mayor for being selected vice president of CEMR. Thank you. Then, what do we do? It's very important that we make the link slowly to what it has been said here from the different panelists. We are working in two main pillars since we have been created. First of all is to influence European policies and legislation. We hear about democracy, which is true. We hear about technocracy, which is true. But all that are at all levels, local, national, and of course, the European level as well. We cannot exclude them from this. And it's very important that we influence and bring your voice because we want to make change. We want you to be heard. You individually cannot be heard, but you collectively as a KETE and collectively all the national associations at CEMR can make a change. So we are stronger when we bring the voice of 114 local regional governments to European Parliament. And the second one is providing a forum for a debate and exchange of good practices. It's important that such gatherings that you have here, we have also in our organizations, bringing together politicians, policy committee members, secretary generals, and experts at different levels to speak about the issues that we are facing. The issues today are multiple. Energy, that we are speaking about, in all policy fields that you as mayor are leading and working, accountable to the citizens. You are doing a lot with a lot of policy issues that you need to implement. And more than 17% of the European policies are implemented at local level. Therefore, your issues are big. And you are in front of people that they need services on a daily basis. And those good practices are space, let's say, to change, to learn, to speak to each other, to create good projects together. At the end of the day, what is important is also the process of learning and transferring good practices from one territory to another one. And how we do that? We do through influencing legislation. We elaborate position papers, key messages, recommendations responding to the European directives. And it's very important because those directives are those who are going to be implemented at the local level. And sometimes you, as mayors, you are busy with your daily life, with your work. So you need also some help, and especially through the networks such as Guri or Sustainable City Network, to bring in what you like to change. We are closer to European Parliament, Square de Mayors, 200 meters from European Parliament. So we gather MEPs, we meet with European commissioners, officials, and this is way how we make the changes in terms of legislation that tomorrow will be implemented. Sometimes take more time, but at the end of the day, anyway, it will be implemented at local level. Expert groups, all what I'm saying, are not done, elaborated only by our team, but elaborated with the national associations of CEMR. So from the experts, at the end of the day, we are bringing your voice, your needs, your experience. Representation at meetings, conferences, and events is very important. We should keep in mind that European, let's say, bureaucrats that we heard here, it's practically true, they are human beings. They need also to understand. They are far from. They want to listen. They want good practices. They want to understand. And this is also a way how we can create links and try to work in partnership with those institutions. Research studies, publications, and projects is another area that CEMR is developing. It's very important that we speak about changes, we speak about good practices, but at the end of the day, if you would like to change legislation, we need also facts. We need good practices. We cannot come as a network, ask for changes without making sure that we have at the end also data that can back up us in terms of changes that we like to introduce. And form of a change, we have just some examples here. Standing Committee on Equality, we are doing a great job since 1996. We have the charter of the equality between men and women. So we have also signatories here in Greece, and I'd like to thank them for the support that they provide to disseminate this tool and, of course, offer training in order to comply with the charter. Expert group on local finances, platform on external funded activities, which is obvious from the title, displays what our national association can bring in project ideas, find partners, and identify European programs for funding. I'm going very quickly through that. It's more a matter of how we are organized, but just to tell you that we have a strategy to organize ourselves within 4 Ps: people, places, planet, and partnerships. And we have 4 teams in place: citizenship, climate, environment, territories, and international partnerships, in order to make sure that we can implement the objectives linked to the 4 Ps. Then, from the priorities of our work, as you can see, we are a bit, let's say, covering almost all the policy areas that are of interest for local and regional governments. Under climate and environment, we are speaking about implementation of Fit for 55 package and Repair EU, circular economy package 1 and 2, and the biodiversity package, study on the revision of national energy and climate plans and CPs, and for each, let's say, policy field, we have also a number of projects that are looking at building the capacities of local regional governments in Europe and our associations at the same time. Under territories, I heard a lot speaking about RFF. We are working a lot on the implementation of RFF, and it is exactly how you are lobbying at the national level. We do the same work, but more at the European level. And your voice and what you share nationally here is reinforced by us at the European level. Future of the cohesion policy monitors national finances, EU digital decade, European social dialogue and healthcare strategy. Under the citizenship, the main priorities: migration integration, temporary protection directives, twinning, cooperation and partnerships, etc. So I'm not going through all that because we need to concentrate on what is the topic for the event. But just to tell you that at the end of the day, the mayors have to deal with multiple issues, and that should be also understood from the national governments and European institutions. I heard, and I'm probably going to the last slide afterward, about good cooperation with national government, etc. But we like to see, as we really promote at the European level, working in partnership. It's a slightly different of cooperation. Working in partnership means respecting the subsidiarity principles and the Charter of Local Self-Governance for local governments that CEMR is promoting, and Greece is one of the signatories of this charter. So in this respect, we like to call the colleagues here also from the national governments to include in the designing phase of the programs the networks, those who are representing local governments. Here we have KEDE, more specific conceptual, let's say, operation programs, the sustainable network city that can be useful. And it's not a matter of cooperation, it's an obligation also coming from European legislation in terms of co-designing together the programs. I do understand that there are difficulties in terms of regulation, but it's true as well that when there is a good political will, the regulation should change. We all say we need to act. At what? We need also to make changes in terms of regulation. Because everything is interlinked at the end of the day. If we don't act, if we don't deliver at the end of the day, in front of citizens, the mayor as the ones that are on the table. We are speaking today about Euroscepticism, but that starts, let's say, from local level, from citizens, and the mayors are in front of those issues. And the best way to deal with is to deliver. And if, I'm repeating again, it's a political will, technically, then we always find solutions. Now, on the CEMR green and digital transition, I'm just going not into details, but just say the main pillars. We're working on the social dimension of the transformation, climate neutrality, future of cohesion policy, sustainable development, energy policy and renovation wave, green transition, and the transformation of landscape. Saying this, I just want to say last word about the access to the programs, to the national programs or to European programs. First of all, I do understand that there are rules, there's regulation, etc. I'm repeating again that we need also to think about small and medium-sized cities. We are speaking since 4 o'clock here about such entities. They have difficulties in terms of capacities also to bring good projects. And it's true as well, that sometimes the project can be not of the quality. But if we don't build the capacities and we don't, the managing authorities are not putting, let's say, financial means to build their capacities, this is what they're going to receive tomorrow. This is what they're going to receive as proposal after tomorrow. So it's good to speak about, and I totally agree with, but we need also to provide the capacities and through technical assistance, through the networks such as Sustainable City Network, to build the capacities of small and medium-sized cities in order to access the funding. If you cannot access the funding at the national level, it's even harder to access the funding at the European level because you need bigger partnerships. There are also cultural differences and some other contexts that you need to take into consideration. So saying this, it's very important that the colleagues from major authorities can also think a bit differently in terms of how to support on the long term small and medium-sized cities. In terms of access to funding, of course, the public funding is not enough. We are speaking about private funding, financial institutions, etc. But of course, how many of small and medium-sized cities had access to the money from the financial institutions? Any? It's complicated. We do a lot of conferences in Brussels. It's the same case here, probably. So, from one side, we heard there's a lot of money. We have a lot of money. And from the other side, we say we don't have enough project. And when we speak about mayors, and say that where's the money? So, the truth, it's probably somewhere in the middle. So, we need to work with small and medium-sized cities, and especially in rural areas, to make sure that they get the capacity to access not only the public funding, European funding, but also look beyond into the financial institutions, banks, and private financing. Saying this, I need to stop here because my colleague Pedro is waiting to take the floor to give an example. And you mentioned, Guri, just a few minutes ago, how we can facilitate a bit simplifying the access, and you are rightly saying there are mayors in Greece that have signed and have built action plans that have been recognized by the Joint Research Center, which is the agency of the research for the European Commission under the Covenant of Mayors. Such, let's say, work which has been done, approved, can be received of direct funding. So there's always possibilities that we need to think and advocate how to simplify the direct funding for those who have already done action plan for the Covenant of Mayors recognized by the Joint Research Center. So what I'm saying, when we have a good, we would like to do something technically, this can happen. Before stopping, I'd like to thank a lot the Secretary General of KEDE, the President, Papasteriou, for welcoming me here, and Georgia for you, for the organization of this great event. I'm here to speak and to change with you during the network break that we're going to have. And thanks again for the invitation, and for sure that will not be the last time I'm in Greece. Thank you very much.
Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Μέσα σε πολύ σύντομο και εύλογο χρονικό διάστημα μας είπατε πάρα πολλά. Και καλούμε στο βήμα τον κύριο Pedro Bizzaro, Ευρωπαϊκό Γραφείο Υποστήριξης Συμφώνου των Δημάρχων.
Dear representatives of the national government, of the national institutions, from the regions, dear mayors, dear colleagues, it's a huge honor for me to be here with you today. Not only an honor, but also a pleasure to hear all the discussions that we had during this panel and the messages that we also convene and support in the framework of the Covenant of Mayors. My name is Pedro Bizzaro. I'm responsible for the coordination of the national activities in the framework of the Covenant of Mayors. And my first words go, of course, to Mr. Kafrantaris, to Mr. Georgizas, extended to all the staff of the Sustainable City Network, which were responsible for organizing this event today, but also for your work and to the support to your members accessing funding, EU funding, and helping them moving from planning to action to develop concrete projects that can help the citizens to have a better quality of life. Today we will speak, or my short keynote speech will be about the Covenant of Mayors, to inform you about the initiative, but also to reinforce some of the messages that we hear today. I think that all of us here are already convinced about the effects of climate change. I don't need to be don't need to highlight this so much. You are here because you are committed to build sustainable cities and communities, because you want to make this change on the ground, but it's never too much to say that we are not speaking about an abstract thing. We are speaking about concrete things with concrete impacts, and based on scientific data and scientific evidence, we can see the trend in the increase of global temperatures that are rising and that we need also to reduce the CO2 emissions. This has concrete impacts on the ground. This is creating extreme events. On the left, you can see some flash floods from my home country, from Portugal. These are images from yesterday. All the downtown has been flooded with a huge flash flood, putting at risk 500,000 jobs. It's not a joke, it's a lot. It will cost a lot of money to clean, to rebuild the place, but also some images also from here, from Greece, that you are also familiar. But we are speaking about flash floods, but we are also speaking about forest fires. 2022, this year, has been the record year in the EU with forest fires, with the associated CO2 emissions of this, but also with impact on the wildlife and on the environmental, on the financial and economical aspects. Also in Greece, as in Portugal, we have also something to do about this, and we suffer directly from the impact of climate change. And this has impacts in many areas. I just put here the example about the change in terms of the precipitation that will have a direct impact on the irrigation that we need for the agriculture. But we could also speak about the increase in the rise of the sea level temperatures, or as in the sea level water level. But as we also heard today about the demographic challenge, we know that based on a survey done by the European Investment Bank, 41% of young people consider having to move the country because of the effects of climate change. And of course, these people are based in countries mainly in Southern Europe. So how much does this cost? We are speaking with mayors. You need to deal with this directly. You are at the closest level to the citizens. We need to move this from a cost to an investment. We are also speaking about the need to hire people responsible for the energy performance. It's about an investment that pays for itself and that can reduce not only the energy consumption, but also increase the energy efficiency. That's what you do by joining the Covenant of Mayors or being part of the Covenant of Mayors community. The Covenant of Mayors is the world's largest movement on local climate and energy action. And by joining and being part of the Covenant of Mayors, cities of all sizes commit to a common vision, a shared vision that by 2050, we will all be living in decarbonized and resilient cities with access to affordable, secure, and sustainable energy. Probably a moment also here to mention the multi-level governance. We also mentioned and heard about this during our event. The need to ensure the collaboration and the co-creation of the policies with the different levels, ensure vertical integration. As Covenant of Mayors, we build on a strong approach of multi-level governance that comes from the signatories, from the cities directly, but also involving the regional level with regional coordinators, and we have some regions in Greece as well playing this role. At national level with national ministries and national bodies capable of providing technical and assistance to the signatories, and also supporters such as the Sustainable City Network, such as CEDES, such as other city networks and regional energy agencies, which can also provide this support to the signatories of the Covenant of Mayors. Also, maybe a moment to say that next year will be an important year because by June 2023, all EU member states need to submit to the European Commission a revised draft of the National Energy and Climate Plan. In this framework, it is, according to the EU regulation, needed to establish not only public consultation, but also specific multi-level dialogues capable of engaging and providing the opportunity to local governments to contribute to this discussion, to shape this policy, this national policy. And as Covenant of Mayors, we are ready to support these dialogues also in Greece and to convene these messages to reinforce the support of the Covenant of Mayors at national level in Greece, but to the supporters as well, to the coordinators and to the signatories, namely by ensuring that there is adequate financial support to the development of the action plans that we've also heard here today, but also on direct access to funding to implement the changes and the actions foreseen in these action plans. A quick flashback of the initiative, just to say where we are now. The initiative is a long-standing initiative, unique in Europe in this sense, starting in 2008-2009 with the specific objective of reducing greenhouse emissions by 2020. It evolved in 2015, reflecting EU policies. We increased the ambition for 2030 as well, and included not only the mitigation to climate change, but also the adaptation to the climate change effects, and also the energy poverty. Last year has been very important because following the European Green Deal, following the adoption of the Paris Agreement, we, and also the 5th for 55 that we also mentioned here today about the EU commitment as a collective to reduce emissions by 55% by 2030, we have launched a new commitment, a new political commitment focused on climate neutrality by 2050. This is what the Covenant of Mayors community is working on towards this climate neutrality commitment, focusing on these three areas: mitigation, adaptation, and energy poverty. And as Covenant of Mayors, we support these cities, these signatories in this transformational change. These three pillars are, of course, deeply interlinked. We are speaking about many different aspects that we heard here today as well, about municipal buildings, but also residential and tertiary buildings, about energy, of course, the transition to renewable energy, but also to change our approach and to reduce the energy consumption. Electricity production, of course, all related with the management of the water cycle that we also hear today, related with transportation and mobility, waste management. So all this is interlinked, and all this should be part, and is part of the sustainable energy and action plans that cities develop. One important element is that we should do this by ensuring a just transition. We need to ensure that no one is left behind, and that we can support everyone in this challenging and ambitious transition. The Covenant of Mayors is, first of all, a big political movement. As my colleague Durmish was saying before, that as city networks, CEMR, Council of European Municipalities and Regions, our work is to convey the message of the local governments, local and regional governments, to the EU institutions. The Covenant does exactly the same thing. It's an initiative that is built bottom up, and we have a Covenant of Mayors political board with mayors from different cities, different countries, different sizes, that meet regularly with the European Commission, with EU top officials, to share the concerns and to help to shape the EU policies that at the end will need to be implemented at local level. That's also for this, because we have a community of more than 10,000 cities, that the Covenant of Mayors is the flagship initiative of the European Commission. We have a strong support from the European institutions, and when we launched the commitment last year towards climate neutrality, we have also the support of the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, inviting all mayors to join the Covenant and to contribute to this change, saying on her own words that regardless of the size and capacity of your city, town or village, regardless of where in Europe you are located, you have a key role to play. We are also ready to support you in playing this role and contributing to this change to climate neutrality. Very quickly, also to guide you in what does it mean to be part of the Covenant of Mayors. It all starts with a political commitment, of course, with the courage, with the investment, with the will of the municipality to take action on climate and energy at local level. And then the city has 2 years to develop this sustainable energy and climate action plan. This plan is developed by the European Commission, is then evaluated and approved by the European Commission, And therefore, we also believe that at national level, there is room for more recognition and support to the development of these plans and to the finance needed to implement these plans. It includes different aspects. I don't want to be too technical, but it's about understanding where we are and what actions, identifying the targets that we want to achieve, and what actions at local level can be taken to achieve these targets. There is a template, there is guidance, there is support directly from us, the Covenant of Mayors Office, directly from the European Commission in the support, in the development of these action plans. We also support, and as being part of the Covenant of Mayors community, you also have access to many different capacity building activities, from national events that we support, such as the event today to discuss a topical issue related with the energy crisis, but also on other fields related with mitigation, adaptation, more on capacity building, more on awareness raising, more on multi-level governance. Different webinars available in our website, providing also with the inspiring examples from cities across Europe, concrete examples on how they are making the change at local level. We have also an annual peer learning program for the signatories, for the coordinators and supporters of the Covenant of Mayors, in which cities can benefit from direct technical assistance and expertise from us. But also capacity building materials, report. There are some leaflets at the entrance that you can bring with you on how to develop the sustainable energy and action plan, how to address energy poverty, how to finance the implementation of the sustainable energy and action plan, but also many good practices available online. I invite you to consult the Covenant of Mayors website, which also includes an interactive funding guide. We've been speaking a lot about funding. What we try to do is to help all the signatories navigating these EU funds, which is rather complex, even for those that work with this on a daily basis. So online, we also provide an explanation, an interactive funding guide, where you can also understand what are the different fundings from the structural funds and shared management funds on financial institutions or alternative financing schemes. And we were also hearing today about the creation of energy communities and so on. So also to consult in our website. So if we focus a bit on what is this new commitment, why are we stepping up action for a fairer and climate neutral Europe, and why are we supporting the signatories and the cities in the Covenant in doing so, we need to say or to highlight three main things. So first, to reflect this latest evolution of the EU policies. We know about the European Green Deal, we know about the Fit for 55, about the adoption of the Paris Agreement, all the other funding instruments and programs that we hear. So to accompany and to reflect this transition and this development, to contribute to a climate-friendly society and economy, but also to strengthen the position of the Covenant of Mayors as the initiative that is leading for change, and those that are part of the Covenant of Mayors benefit also from this recognition. This has been done through an inclusive process with a survey, open survey to cities and regions across Europe, with direct consultations with national partners, but also with a discussion within the Covenant of Mayors political board, and endorsed again by the European Commission, by the Commissioner on Energy, Kadri Simpson, also providing the support and the institutional support to the initiative. So we are speaking again about climate neutrality by 2050. We are speaking about making climate action a priority. We need to act on this. We are suffering the consequences every year, every day. Ensure a fair transition. I mentioned already the just transition element. And also very important, to engage all the stakeholders, the citizens, the private sector, the academia in this change that needs to be done with all of us together. It's a transformational change that we need to do together. So it's based on four main elements, as I mentioned, also providing a commitment, a political commitment, engaging with local stakeholders, acting by the development of a sustainable energy and action plan, and benefit and inspire other cities and other mayors also in taking local climate and energy action. In Greece, Greece is a very important country for the Covenant of Mayors. We have around 100 and around 200 signatories of the Covenant of Mayors since the beginning of the initiative, since 2009. More than 100 sustainable and energy action plans received. So for us, it's a very important country that we are always ready to provide support and to also provide visibility to your work at the European level. So for those of you that already renewed your commitment, we stand by you and providing support. For those that have not yet renewed the commitment, which might happen with some cities that joined before the 2015, you have an opportunity to renew your commitment statement, and you can contact our office and we can provide you the support in doing so. Last words to speak about the current crisis, the energy crisis. It has been the topic of discussion today. I don't want also to bother you with more details. What I want to mention is our contribution, our support in terms of initiative for this crisis, to assist you as local governments, as mayors, in taking action in reducing the energy emissions, in the energy consumption in the short run, and how also to move to renewables and renewable sources of energy. So the Covenant is adapting to this, is adapting to the 2030 targets, to the Repower EU, providing support to the Repower EU and providing support in the implementation of these actions. And we have currently a campaign called the Cities Energy Savings Sprint, supported by the European Commission and by the European Committee of the Regions, in which we provide a toolkit, an inspiration toolkit with concrete measures that cities can take to reduce their energy consumption and to move and to accelerate the transition into renewable energy sources in different dimensions. Some examples in terms of public lighting, public transport, energy saving and raising awareness of citizens on how they can save energy as well, or readjusting indoor temperature of public buildings. In our website, you have access to this toolkit with different measures that you can take. I invite you also to share with your staff at local level. Concrete measures, concrete actionable actions that can be put in the ground. And we are convening also messages, videos from mayors across Europe, in which they are sharing what they are doing, also to inspire other cities to do the same and to reduce the energy consumption and the energy bills. So with this, I would like to thank you again for your attention, for your participation, and I stand ready also to support you, to discuss with you in the networking moment, and to discuss how we can further collaborate and support you in the future. Thank you very much.